I just got back from Aurora, Colorado, where I had to put up 12 crosses for the Batman movie, where 12 people were killed, 12 innocent people were killed. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my day. I left Aurora, Illinois around, say, 7 o'clock at night. I drove straight through 16 hours. I got there about 8 o'clock in the morning their time because there was an hour setback. Just before I hit town, I called KOA, the largest radio station in Denver, and told people on the radio that I was going to be there and what mile marker I was on. I was about 135 miles out of Denver. When we arrived, meaning me and the crosses, there was a huge crowd of about 200 or 250 people that met me there, including police officers that showed me exactly where I could put the crosses if I wanted to. I got such a wonderful, warm reception. The mayor of town was there when I got there, and he hugged me and he just started crying, right by the crosses with me, and I'll always remember that moment where at Columbine I'm not welcome, and in Aurora, Illinois, they embraced me. So they had me park about a quarter of a mile, a little more than that, away from a roped off area, and they let me into the roped off area. I carried my crosses back and forth 2 at a time. The nice part about this was the whole media camp, they were all asleep, and they started waking up as I started putting the crosses. I kept going back and forth, and it was so much more comfortable because I got to do an interview or two one-on-one with every single one of the reporters there. Did approximately 65 interviews. People from Australia interviewed me, people from Pakistan interviewed, people from Canada interviewed me, Time Magazine interviewed me, USA Today interviewed me, and I can't even tell you how many people interviewed, but it was all media, meaning it was all TV interviewing. So about an hour and a half into that, after I finally got the crosses on the hill, I started writing down all the names. But in the meantime, several people came up for individual prayer and hugging and crying. It was just like going to a battle zone. Then I started writing the names of all the victims on the crosses that I got the day before, and it was really hot. It was around 100 degrees on this dirt hill, and my markers were actually blowing out because they were so hot. They were expanding, so I used 4 different kinds of markers on the crosses, which was quite different. But this guy came up, and I could tell he wasn't a regular guy, and I says, well, why are you dressed in a black suit like that? And I looked behind him, and there were 4 other guys like that, and he said, well, why do you ask that? I says, well, you don't look like a reporter to me. I says, you look like you're official. He says, well, yeah, we're Obama's Secret Service. I says, oh, okay. He says, are you planning to be here when Obama's here tonight? I said, no, I'm not. He says, well, you could be. I said, no, I'm not. I'm going back to my city. He says, well, is there anything you would say? I said, yeah. I said, there's one thing I would say. I said, I don't say the name of the gunman. I'm so fed up of hearing that. Everybody here keeps talking about the gunman. Well, anyway, I noticed right away in Obama's speech that he neglected to mention the name of the gunman, and that's what we need to keep doing. We need to. I know it sounds like I have an agenda, but we need not to glorify that guy. So I did listen to Obama's speech, but anyway, I got back in my truck. I told somebody I was going to go get some water after I had all the crosses up. When I left there was this huge crowd around in front of the crosses, not behind the crosses. So it was I handed out markers to a lot of people, and immediately people started writing on the crosses. I was there 2.5 hours total, time start to finish. I was able to go ahead and get out of town. I went up to Nebraska. and pulled into the first rest area, or actually a truck stop, the Travel America truck stop. I went to sleep in my truck. Now it's about 12:30. When I woke up, I saw this huge grass fire. I saw lightning before I went to sleep. But this huge area, about 5 square miles, was just burning right there in my truck stop. And I thought, and I asked the guy, how come there's nobody here? He said, oh, we've evacuated the area already. I said, what? And he said, what are you doing here? When did you come in? I said, I was over there sleeping in my truck. He says, well, you have an order to get out of here. But anyway, I took three or four pictures of that. But also, I noticed on the thermometer, it said 108, and I asked him if it's really 108. He said, heck no, it's 111. I said, oh. Well, anyway, I got back on the highway, and I'm back here in my home in Aurora, Illinois. It's about 10:30 on Monday night, and I'm just so happy to get a real meal. I slept in my truck last night before. I was eating canned goods, and I'd like to kind of synopsis what I feel that the mission that was accomplished was when we put up the crosses. First off, an evil, demonic person, this gunman, kills all these people. But I know right away prayer was being offered up, and thousands of people were there last night praying in front of those crosses. I've already got all kinds of messages that people told me that. And no, the devil didn't win. We're winning as people that believe in God. We're bringing prayer to the nation, and that's how simple this whole thing is. Done. On the way back to Illinois, I stopped and got a few newspapers when I was in Omaha, which is in Nebraska. Right away, the crosses are on the front page of this paper. And then down here, this is inside the paper, that shows a guy praying. That's the whole objective here, is for somebody to be praying. And then when I was in Lincoln, Nebraska, that's on the opposite end of the state, there was this other beautiful photograph of the crosses up on the hill. And over the next few days, I know that you're going to see more memorials placed there. Also today, which is Monday, July the 23rd, 2/12, I was really happy to see these crosses on the front page of USA Today. That's the largest newspaper in the whole world. And also, on today's Chicago Tribune, July the 23rd, 2/12, you see military people right here in the photo. Here's a guy. And on the cross of the young man that died from Crystal Lake, somebody's already put a military hat on there, and I was able to see a guy actually put a real flag on the ground, not one of these little ones, but one of these great big ones. And also, when we were there, I noticed immediately everybody was drawn to the 6-year-old girl that was killed. They started writing on the crosses, and if you look back at the pictures here, look at how many messages are written on the cross. Like I said, I left markers on all of these crosses. People are already writing messages. See up on the sides here, and then even the first day, right behind here. These crosses are going to be so full of messages. And the intention of these crosses and where they're going to end up is I'm planning to give them to the families. They're going to have a memento with hundreds and hundreds of messages on there. And this particular memorial isn't so much just for the families. This is a public memorial because the public needs to go out and they need to have a place to go, to be able to release, to go and cry. A lot of people are sitting home watching TV, but there's going to be thousands and thousands of people going to these crosses. And eventually, when the family members get to have that cross, they're going to see hundreds and hundreds of messages on them, and I'll just keep them in our prayers. Thank you very much.